Hello everyone and welcome. If you want to improve your English naturally, you're in the right place. In this 1-hour lesson, you'll listen to real-life English conversations that native speakers use every day. Each conversation is slow, clear, and easy to understand. After every dialogue, we'll explain important vocabulary, useful phrases, and pronunciation tips. So relax, grab a notebook, and let's improve your English together. Let's begin.
Have you ever had one of those intensely grueling, relentlessly long days and when you finally walk through the door, someone asks you how you are and your brain just entirely freezes?
Well, absolutely. It happens to all of us.
Right, like you have this complex, multi-layered symphony of exhaustion playing inside your body, and there's so much you want to communicate about what you've just survived.
But the only words that actually manage to stumble out of your mouth are just, I'm tired.
Exactly. I mean, it's the absolute universal default. And today, we are diving into why that phrase is doing you a massive disservice.
It really is. It feels safe, and it gets the point across on a very basic level, but it's entirely insufficient for actually communicating your reality.
Yeah, we're looking at some brilliant linguistic insights today from the Mr. English channel, specifically a lesson focused on upgrading how we communicate fatigue. The whole mission of this deep dive is to basically dismantle your reliance on "I'm tired" and give you a highly precise vocabulary instead.
Which is so deeply necessary. Because relying on I'm tired day in and day out is essentially like wearing the exact same gray t-shirt every single day.
Right, the channel uses that same shirt analogy. And at first I thought, sure, it makes sense. Wearing the same shirt is just a bit boring.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, is it really just about sounding less boring? Or does using the exact right phrase actually prevent real misunderstandings in our daily lives?
Oh, it absolutely prevents misunderstandings. That is precisely the stakes we're dealing with here. Precision in language, especially around our physical and mental limits, it isn't just about showing off a colorful vocabulary. It's about handing the people around you a blueprint for how to interact with you in that specific moment. When you just say, I'm tired, the other person is basically forced to guess.
Like, what do you actually need?
Exactly. Do you need a bed? Do you need them to stop talking? Or do you just need to zone out in front of the television?
Yeah.
By choosing the right idiom, you remove all that guesswork.
So let's get into the actual mechanics of this, starting with the physiology of fatigue. One of the most fascinating distinctions in this lesson is separating the physical need for sleep versus the total depletion of your daily energy.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Because we lazily lump both of those under tired, but biologically they're completely different states.
They are, and separating them is the foundational step to sounding natural. So think about the phrase, I'm sleepy.
Okay.
It's a very soft, gentle phrase, right? And it serves one highly specific biological function. It is basically a biological whisper that your eyes are getting heavy and you require horizontal rest immediately.
So like the example from the source, imagine you're watching a movie on the couch.
Yes, exactly. It's midnight, the room is dark, you start yawning, and your eyelids are physically fluttering. That is the only time I'm sleepy is the right tool for the job.
But hang on, let me push back on that for a second. Let's test the boundaries. What if it's like noon on a Saturday?
Oh.
And I've been up since 6 in the morning, scrubbing floors, moving furniture, entirely deep cleaning my house.
Right, a very heavy physical day.
Yeah, and I am sitting on the floor with zero energy left. Am I sleepy then? Because I don't want a bed right at that moment. I just want the couch and maybe a glass of water.
Right, and in that scenario, using sleepy would completely confuse the listener.
It would.
Yeah, because if you've just spent 6 hours deep cleaning, your energy is completely gone, but your circadian rhythm isn't necessarily demanding sleep. You just need to stop moving.
Oh, I see.
So in that exact situation, the correct term is exhausted. Your tank is empty. It's the feeling you get after, an 8 or 9 hour stressful work day.
And the social utility of distinguishing between those two is huge. Like, think about a friend calling you up to ask you to dinner after one of those brutal work days.
Oh, yeah.
If you just tell them, no, I'm tired, it carries this subtle dismissal. It leaves room for them to think, you just don't want to make the effort to see them.
Exactly. It breeds resentment.
But if you say, I would love to, but I am entirely exhausted today, they instantly understand the physics of your situation. You have zero energy left to give.
Right.
It's not a lack of interest in the friendship. It's a total lack of physiological resources.
Yeah.
It preserves the relationship.
It commands a completely different kind of empathy. So if exhausted is that general state of an empty tank, We also have to look at how we get more granular about physical exertion specifically.
Because sometimes the exhaustion is highly localized to our muscles.
Yes. Which brings up a very casual, incredibly common American idiom, I'm beat.
I'm beat. I love that one. It has such a distinct cultural flavor to it.
It does, and the way it's defined in the source is incredibly charming. They describe it as the feeling that the day defeated you, but in a friendly way.
A friendly defeat. I really resonated with that. It's almost like a badge of honor.
It really is a humble brag in a way. You know, you wouldn't use I'm beat if you just got fired from your job or experienced something deeply traumatic.
Right, that would be weird.
It's strictly reserved for when you've engaged in something physically demanding but ultimately satisfying. Like you spent the entire Sunday afternoon gardening in the hot sun.
Or walking 5 miles around a new city on vacation.
Exactly. You walk through the front door, drop your bags, collapse into an armchair, and sigh, I'm beat.
You're acknowledging the physical toll, but you aren't actually complaining about it. But that begs the question, what if the day didn't defeat you in a friendly way? What if the day felt like it absolutely leveled you?
Well, then you graduate from I'm beat to I'm wiped out.
Oh, wiped out.
Yeah.
The visual imagery of that is so potent.
It relies heavily on metaphor, yeah. The brain processes visual idioms much faster than literal descriptions. Think of a massive ocean wave crashing over you and completely washing away every single ounce of your energy.
Just pulling it back out to sea. Or even just the imagery of taking a wet sponge and wiping a kitchen table entirely clean.
That's a great way to look at it.
You're clearing away every little crumb, every little drop of anything on that surface. When you look at someone and say, I'm wiped out, you are literally telling them that the day took a sponge to your physical reserves and left absolutely nothing behind.
It communicates a total physical systems failure. It's meant for those massive, draining endurance events, like navigating a hyper-busy holiday weekend with extended family.
Or stepping off a 14-hour international flight. Just picture the practical application of that at an airport hotel.
Oh, that's the perfect setting for it.
Right. A traveler walks in at 2 a.m., dragging a 50-pound suitcase, looks at the receptionist under those harsh fluorescent lights, and just says, I am totally wiped out.
And that receptionist immediately understands the assignment.
Exactly. They aren't going to pitch you on the hotel's rewards program or make small talk about the weather. They're going to hand you a room key and point you to the elevators as fast as humanly possible.
Because wiped out signals that you have zero capacity for social interaction.
Exactly. So we've established the spectrum of physical fatigue pretty thoroughly here, from the gentle biological whisper of sleepy to the complete physical void of being wiped out.
Yeah.
But there's a totally unique state of exhaustion where your body is actually perfectly fine. Like maybe you've just been sitting in a comfortable ergonomic chair all day long.
Right, your legs don't hurt, your back is fine, but your cognitive function is completely fried.
So we are pivoting to mental fatigue.
Yeah.
And this requires a completely different tool from the vocabulary wardrobe.
Yes. The idiom here is I'm drained.
I'm drained. The source humorously refers to this specific feeling as brain sadness, which I just thought was incredible.
It's such an accurate way to describe the psychology of cognitive fatigue, isn't it?
It really is, because cognitive fatigue literally mimics depressive symptoms. You know, you have low motivation, you get irritable, you just can't focus.
Yeah, and the metaphors used to explain drained are so visceral, it's compared to water slowly, agonizingly leaving a bathtub.
Or a smartphone battery hovering at 1%, just flashing red.
Yes. And if we look at the sociolinguistics of this, think about the boundaries you are setting. When you say, I'm drained, you are actively signaling to a coworker after a grueling 3-hour strategy meeting that your mind needs to go offline.
Right, like after taking a massive standardized test,
No.
you're explicitly saying, do not ask me to make a consequential decision right now. Do not ask me to solve a complex logistical problem.
Exactly.
If I walk into the kitchen and tell my partner I'm tired, they might excitedly say, oh, perfect, let's sit on the couch and watch this dense, subtitle-heavy documentary.
Which is the last thing you want.
The absolute last thing. But if I say I'm entirely drained, they know I just need to stare at a blank wall or watch an animated movie I've seen 20 times. You are actively protecting your mental space.
Precisely. You are giving them the instruction manual for your current cognitive state.
So true.
Now, having covered the standard physical and mental buckets, we have to look at what happens when human systems are in full failure, but you still have to keep moving.
We're talking about the extreme edges of exhaustion here.
We are. If sleepy is a biological whisper, what does it sound like when your body is actively screaming at you?
It sounds like I can barely keep my eyes open.
Exactly. Which isn't just an idiom, it's a highly descriptive full sentence.
It paints an immediate cinematic picture. You instantly imagine someone sitting at their desk, their head nodding forward, literally fighting gravity to stay conscious.
It's an active biological emergency. It is the absolute extreme evolution of I'm sleepy. You use this when you are actively fighting heavy eyelids, usually very late in the evening.
But what about when that extreme exhaustion isn't just about needing sleep, but about the culmination of a remarkably hard week?
Well, that brings us to a phrase that uses a very intense intensifier, which is dead tired.
Dead tired. Now, let me stop you right there, because the word dead carries a lot of weight.
It does.
If I'm at a formal quarterly review with my boss on a Friday afternoon, and she asks how I'm holding up with the new project load, can I casually say, honestly, Susan, I'm dead tired?
Absolutely not. And this is a crucial sociolinguistic guardrail that the source points out. In informal English, the word dead in this context just acts as a dramatic intensifier, meaning very, very.
Right.
But it commands a certain level of intimacy. It is strictly reserved for friends, family, and perhaps your closest peers at work.
Because if you use it with your boss, it crosses a professional boundary. It sounds overly dramatic, and frankly, it forces your manager to manage your emotional extreme rather than just your workload.
Exactly. It lacks professional composure. You really have to know your audience.
Okay, so what's the alternative then?
If you want to communicate extreme effort and exhaustion in a way that actually garners respect, you would reach for a different idiom entirely. You would say you are running on empty.
Running on empty. That's a fascinating one, because it implies forward momentum despite a total lack of resources.
The metaphor is universally understood. Imagine a car driving down a dark highway. The gasoline tank has zero fuel left.
The red warning light is glaring on the dashboard.
And yet somehow, the car is still hurtling forward at 60 miles an hour.
The momentum is carrying it, even though the tank is dry. This phrase really taps into modern hustle culture, doesn't it?
It heavily taps into it. It's designed for those days where the demands simply do not stop. You know, you have a relentlessly busy 10-hour workday, and then you have to commute home.
And then cook a nutritious dinner for the family.
Right, and then you have to sit at the kitchen table and patiently help your kids with their math homework until 10 at night.
Both your physical and mental tanks are entirely dry.
Oh.
But you must keep going. You don't have the luxury of collapsing yet.
And that adds a profound layer of nobility to the exhaustion, I think. When you look at your spouse across that kitchen table and say, I am running on empty, you aren't just complaining about being tired.
You are acknowledging a shared sacrifice.
Exactly. You're saying, I have absolutely nothing left, my resources are gone, but I am choosing to push through anyway out of love or duty or responsibility.
It really reframes the fatigue as an act of dedication.
Oh, love that.
Love that. So we now have this incredibly nuanced 8-piece wardrobe of vocabulary.
We do.
We have sleepy for the biological whisper, exhausted for the empty tank. We have beat for the friendly physical defeat, wiped out for total physical failure. We have drained for cognitive depletion, barely keep my eyes open for fighting sleep, dead tired for informal extremes, and running on empty for pushing through the pain.
It's a great list.
But having the vocabulary in your head isn't enough, right?
Yeah.
The mechanics of actually deploying these phrases natively is where people stumble.
Oh, for sure. Moving from theoretical knowledge to practical application is always the hardest part of language acquisition. The source introduces a concept called smooth it out.
Smooth it out.
Yeah, which is all about taking technically correct but clanky sentences and upgrading them to match the natural rhythm of a native speaker.
Because idioms act as conversational shortcuts.
Yeah.
They save time and reduce friction.
Exactly. Take a standard beginner sentence like, I cannot go to the gym tonight because I worked all day and I am very tired.
I mean, grammatically, it is flawless.
It is. But sociologically, it is robotic. It takes far too long to get to the point, and it lacks conversational flow.
It sounds like you were reading a textbook out loud to your friend.
Right. But if we smooth it out using the new vocabulary, it transforms into, I cannot go to the gym tonight. I'm totally beat from work.
Notice how the rhythm changes there. I'm totally beat from work is punchy, it's relaxed, it immediately conveys the friendly defeat of the workday without requiring a lengthy explanation.
And the same applies to mental fatigue. If you say, my head is tired because I had a very long meeting with my manager, everyone knows what you mean, but it feels incredibly awkward.
Yeah, my head is tired just isn't a native collocation.
But if you upgrade that to, I am completely drained after that long meeting with my manager, you immediately sound highly professional and you accurately pinpoint that your cognitive battery is at 1%.
But here is the ultimate reality check for anyone listening. We can sit here and unpack the psychological nuances of these phrases all day long. But if you don't actually move your mouth and practice saying them in context, they are going to evaporate from your memory by tomorrow morning.
They absolutely will. These are what the lesson calls pocket words, high utility vocabulary that you want to keep in your pocket to use every single day.
And to keep them, you have to overcome the friction of practicing them.
Which is hard. Practicing a second language or even just trying out new vocabulary in your native language carries a massive amount of psychological friction. There is a deep-seated fear of looking foolish.
Oh, definitely. The fear of using an idiom incorrectly and having people stare at you blankly is huge.
Which is why the tool recommended in the lesson, the Mr. English AI Smart Assistant, is so vital. We talk a lot about AI, but its application in language learning is revolutionary precisely because it removes the social risk from the equation.
It creates a perfectly safe psychological sandbox. You can chat with this AI day or night, and it simulates a realistic conversational environment.
Right, where you can test drive saying, I'm wiped out or I'm running on empty.
And if you use it wrong, if you say, I am dead tired in a simulated formal business email, the AI will gently correct you, but it won't judge you.
No embarrassment whatsoever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Won't think less of your intelligence. You can mess up an idiom 5 times in a row, and a machine just doesn't care. It allows you to build conversational confidence in private so that when you finally deploy the phrase in public, it feels entirely natural.
It really bridges the gap between knowing a word and actually owning that word.
So, as we pull all of these threads together, let's look at what we've actually accomplished today. We started with the incredibly boring, one-size-fits-all gray t-shirt of I'm tired.
Which we are throwing away.
Throwing it away. And we've replaced it with a vibrant, highly specific vocabulary that allows you to articulate exact biological states, cognitive depletion, and physical boundaries.
Yeah.
Being specific isn't just about sounding fluent. It is the most effective way to protect your energy and navigate your relationships with confidence.
It really is. But I want to leave you with a final thought that shifts the focus inward a bit.
Okay, listening.
We've spent this entire time looking at how specific language paints a clear picture for other people. We've talked about hotel receptionists, coworkers, and spouses.
Right.
But if we accept the linguistic theory that the language we use actively shapes our internal reality, we have to ask, does having precise words for our fatigue actually help us figure out what we need?
Oh, wow. That is a fascinating shift in perspective.
Think about your internal dialogue. If the only word you possess for fatigue is tired, then your brain's only proposed solution is usually sleep.
Right. You feel bad, you say you were tired, you try to take a nap.
Exactly. But if you have the vocabulary to internally realize, wait, my body isn't wiped out, my brain is just drained, you might realize that a nap won't fix the problem.
Yeah, you might just wake up groggy.
Exactly. What you actually need is to go for a quiet 30-minute walk without your phone to reset your cognitive load.
So the specific words we use actually dictate the medicine we prescribe to ourselves.
Exactly. It transforms vocabulary from just a communication tool into a diagnostic tool.
That is a phenomenal insight. The next time you feel that heavy wave of fatigue wash over you, before you even open your mouth to text a friend or complain to a partner, take 5 seconds and ask yourself, am I biologically sleepy?
Is my brain drained from a screen?
Or is my tank just running on empty?
Naming the exact state might completely change how you treat yourself for the rest of the evening.
It really might.
It is time to throw away that boring old gray t-shirt. Upgrade the wardrobe, protect your boundaries, and start diagnosing your fatigue accurately. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the nuances of exhaustion. Try out one of these new phrases today, and we will catch you next time.
That's the end of today's English conversation. Practice speaking every day to improve your English. If you enjoyed this lesson, please like this video. We'll see you in the next English conversation. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.